What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 80.
Number 80
of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by one half of the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller.
Hey.
This is the first time I've ever done a show with you.
I know, the one.
No, that's not true.
We did the Patreon exclusives, but those are, you didn't have to do the rigmarole in the beginning.
It was different.
You just got to do whatever. Now you're here, you got to be locked in, you got to be delivering the goods for everybody. You got to be very professional.
Hashtag profesh.
Yep, that's definitely.
Hashtag try to be Colin. That's what I'm going to do today. No,
Colin doesn't host shows.
Yeah,
he only hosts Colin Greg Live, and that's just a whiteboard and a lecture every day.
The lecture. Oh my God, he's a teacher.
He is a teacher.
Colin's a teacher.
He was trained for it, and he uses it well.
Oh man, that would have been.
I'm excited for this.
Can you imagine finding out that Colin's your professor? Now, I know a lot of you at home are like, oh my God, that's the dream.
Yeah.
I'm the kid that would have been like, oh no.
Oh, fuck Moriarty. I got
Anything but
Moriarty.
Mr. Moriarty.
Fuck.
You know?
Yeah, he comes in, he just rants and raves, and you're like, is any of this going to be on the test? Do I really need to know about this third-party Gary Johnson right now? Yeah, exactly.
About the third-party Gary Johnson.
We're talking about American history, not American right now. What are you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen,
patches on him.
This is Kind of Funny Gamescast. Every week, we talk about video games and all the things we love about them. And I feel like this is a good duo for that.
Yeah.
Me and you.
Yeah.
You and I. We're the ones that love video games.
Yeah.
We do a lot.
Right.
We can talk about them. We can believe about them.
We can play them.
Let them in.
Do a whole bunch
I just watched you play one.
I just finished Abzu in front of you, which you're excited to play, but I ruined for you. Now you know how it ends.
The ending, I knew it was getting there. I'm like, I'm just going to look
Game's
away
pretty
now.
abstract, don't worry.
Yeah. But if you wanted to get the show early, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Get a bunch of goodies over there.
Sure.
And all that stuff. Or you can get it for free at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, where it's distributed every day, Monday through Thursday, topic by topic, full episode Friday. You can also get it on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
Something I don't like about iTunes.
Lay it on me.
And I need this to be clear to everybody.
Sure.
I don't like how when you go to itunes.com/kindoffunny, it does this weird thing where it reroutes to a page that's like, you can download iTunes.
Why does that? Yeah, I hate that. iTunes does that crap all the time. You click on somebody's link and it's like, oh, forget us on iTunes. You're like, do you want to download iTunes? Like, I have iTunes.
I have iTunes.
Could you just open this in iTunes, or could you just link
the
into
problem?
The thing? Yeah.
And what doesn't make sense, if you go in iTunes and you search for Kind of Funny, our podcasts come up. You can click on P.S. I Love You. Yeah. Available every Tuesday, 9 a.m. You can click on Game Over Greggy's show. Available every Friday at midnight.
Whenever Kevin gets to it.
No, the free ones are good.
Okay.
Free ones are always set.
Okay.
But Kevin has a week to handle that shit.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't stop him from screwing things up.
You're right. You get Gamescast, this big, beautiful show here.
Yeah.
You go to any of those. You can go to more from this publisher. Click on Kind of Funny. There's this beautiful page that I helped set up with our homies over at Apple. Yeah. And I'm like, great. I'm like, what's the link? You can right click, copy link. It's itunes.com/kindoffunny. You put that in.
Download iTunes.
Download iTunes. Come on.
The big news is that when I was walking Portillo a second ago, the Apple Maps car passed me taking pictures.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm going to be in an Apple Map.
You are going to be internet famous, Greg Miller.
Everybody's going to know me on that Apple Map. I'm excited about this episode. We've had a good day.
We have had a good day.
We decided this was going to be our date day. I greeted you at the door in my underwear when you got here this morning.
You did, just your underwear.
Then we did Colin and Greg Live all by ourselves. No Kevin, no Nick, no Colin. Then we went to a lovely lunch. Then we got some froyo.
We went to a burrito place different than our normal burrito places.
Exactly.
And that is when you know that you're getting fucking frisky and adventurous.
Fancy. Yeah, let's get out of the rut. Let's go to this new place.
I was feeling good. It was good. I liked it a lot.
I did too.
I had a wet burrito, one of the best wet burritos I've had in a while.
Wow.
Yeah, the enchilada sauce was.
Yeah. I had chorizo tacos. They were very good. Yeah.
Chorizo upsets me because it reminds me of Kevin. And
because he eats that Starbucks sandwich made with
Starbucks chorizo one, and it just
smells
like Kevin.
That's weird.
And so like chorizo kind of makes me gag a little bit.
Sure, because Kevin makes you gag a little bit.
Because Kevin makes me gag a little bit. That's how that all works.
Exactly.
But anyway, today's episode is going to be fun. On Colin Greg Live, I asked a lot of people for questions, so we're going to do 2 topics of audience questions. We got some good ones.
Okay, good. About time these kids brought something good.
It's going to be fun.
But
I want to start with Abzu.
Abzu.
Because my God, that game looks like a game.
It's taken the world by storm. This Abzu. It's not hit the Pokemon Go
world
threshold, but okay, our industry.
It's taken Marty Sleva by storm.
No, and Mitch Dyer and Kotaku.
I guess
Cliff
you're right.
Blazinski. Everyone's out there tweeting and talking and reviewing Abzu, talking about it. I just played it. I just beat it. Yeah, okay. That was something I did for 2 hours.
So let's give a little bit of background on Abzu. Sure. Abzu, not made by that game company.
No, but
despite the similarities.
It's a game made by Giant Squid. This is their first game. the leader of Giant Squid left that
Matt
game
Nava,
company. There you go. You got some of that stuff there.
The art director
right.
for Flower and Journey.
Right.
AKA two of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
Leaving here to do this.
Correct.
Also, Austin Winnery, composer of Journey.
Yep.
Composer of this game.
Look at you with your facts.
And that took me 2 minutes of watching you play for me to be like, this is a game for me.
And this
looks awesome.
And that's the whole thing about it is what I want to, as we get into this, what do I think you should play Abzu? Of course. I know it's going to be spoiler free. Should you play Abzu? Of course you should play Abzu. It's another one of those games, of course, that's going to be our games are art. And here's this thing. It's similar to my Inside thing when we did the review of Inside, where it's just like, it's a really abstract. You know what I mean? And like, I get that and you want me to talk about it and think about it, but I kind of don't like that. You know what I mean? And so to go back, Flow and Flower never hit the mark for me. I played both those games, finished both of them, right? Yeah, probably. And even though it's the journey, not the destination with those kind of games. IMO.
Flower, I like Flowers.
Flower was great
as a whole,
but like you end and you're always just back on the windowsill. It's like, all right, I see what's
happening.
But
I feel like there is an ending to Flower. Flow, I never beat Flow. And then Flow didn't click with me.
Yeah. So, but Journey did click with me. I love Journey. Journey, I thought was, okay, cool. I get what's happening here. And with Abzu, I never really got it. And I just beat it like literally 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. And so I need to go, I want to go read about it. I want to go do, the first thing I did though was jump into Jose Otero's IGN review. And he was with me there. He gave it 8.3, I think. And he was talking about like, his cons are that's a little too loose narratively. Yeah. And that's, I hate saying that's like one of the things because I love artsy games. I love people creating art. That's why I love video games, is that it's an art form and everybody gets to go express themselves and do different things with it. But it does at times feel like you're trying, is this a game for art's sake? You know what I mean? Is it that kind of thing? And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it also just does feel like, in a lot of ways, underwater journey. Of like you're going, it's like, what's happening? Okay, here are some of the cave paintings, or like I'm trying to figure out what exactly piece it together, how it's going. But then by the end, when I get it and I do the thing and this happens, blah, blah, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And like, the way people keep talking about it, and here's what I think might be the problem, for me in particular, me personally, I should say, is the fact that everyone's talking about it as it's a game that's super relaxing, it's this game that's meditative, it's this kind of thing. That's what I've been applying to my expectations for No Man's Sky. That No Man's Sky is going to be the game that I sit there and play and chill out for 30 minutes a night and be done with it and go to bed. Jumping into this one today, I wasn't necessarily in the mood, but I wanted to be able to talk about it. I wanted to see what everybody's talking about. I get why people love it. It is beautiful. Oh my God, is it a beautiful game? That's for me the best part of the game, is like at any point I felt like I could put the controller down and look back, or go into the meditating, because that's like one of the big things where you see these like shark statues that you go and you rest on their heads and you meditate, and then the camera just kind of spins around and lets you. It always looks like a moving painting. It's always beautiful. Yeah. Like the colors, whether they're using a very, very dark palette for, and you're underwater, it's dank and it's gross, or you're this bright, beautiful, it's tropic, it's a coral reef. Awesome stuff there. Awesome color. Really beautiful game. Animated incredibly well. Swimming, very fluid. It's funny, I remember when we hit Uncharted and 4 and you came back after that first day and you're like, they finally did it. They made swimming in a game fun. Swimming in a game's fun here. It took me a while, being a non-inverted person, to wrap my head around it, because it was that you can go in and change it to be how you would, but even once I changed it, that didn't feel right. And I was like, back to inverted. I'm flying like a plane, whatever.
Yeah, that's always hard, that inverted thing. We talked about this before. I think with Ratchet and Clank, I was having the issue with the remake of it, where I used to play inverted, now I play normal. But then when it comes to the camera of the left and right movements in like a third person thing, sometimes it just doesn't click right. Where it's like I want one to be horizontal and one to be inverted, and the horizontal to be non-inverted, or stuff like whatever it is, the opposites.
Right.
And it just tricks you up. But then one day, it can change day to day.
Yeah.
It's like a weird brain thing.
And that was the thing of like, for me, I think part of it too is that sometimes you get pulled back a bit. So it's like, I was trying to swim, over there, right? So I'm pulling up and I pulled up too far and did like and then I was like upside down and trying to come back.
Yeah.
Minor gripe. I don't want to make this out to be a thing. It just, for me, I had a little bit of trouble wrapping my head around it, but I eventually got it. And it's also not a game where it's like, you need to be precise. You're going to get punished. None of that. Back to the relaxing thing of just like, you're underwater and it's chill. Music, as you brought up, amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I think is really important to this, is the art aspect, right? Where is it art for art's sake? I feel like that's even a totally even other topic, where it's like, and even talking about Inside before, there was that question of like, all right, so what, and whatever. But it's like, if that's the point, then that's the point.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm not knocking it.
But with this though, I think that beyond that, like the game, whether it's too artsy in the sense of what does it mean, and like let's discuss this. as art as when you take the look and the tone and the feel and the sound and all that stuff. You're talking about the it looks like every frame looks like a painting.
Yeah.
Like I think that they did that to an extent with Flower, but then Journey knocked it out of the park. Sure. Where it's just like every single shot of that looks amazing. It doesn't, and it's PS3, it doesn't matter. Yep. PS10 can be out and that's going to look amazing because of the art direction. And I think that this is another one of those moments where the art direction of Matt Nava, he gets it. You know, he gets how to design something to evoke emotion, just from the look of it.
Right.
Look, just watching you play, it's like I get the feelings of Journey and of Flower, but like this also, it had its own thing to it. I remember back on the GameCube, one of the really special things the GameCube had in terms of graphics, because it wasn't the most powerful. The Xbox by far was the most powerful that generation. PS2 tended to look better than GameCube did. GameCube was a little bit more round around the edges and stuff. Mario Sunshine, the water.
Yeah,
it was beautiful the way that it interacted with things, and just it was next gen at that time. Star Fox Adventures, the fur, like having all that stuff, it was so like, oh my god, like this is, and they kind of overcompensated in a lot of ways,
course,
with that. But I feel like that those things are what push the limits of stuff. And now these days, water, video games have nailed it. Like, we've seen it time and time again. But seeing you play this, I'm like, man, this is making me think about water in video games in a way that I haven't in a long time. And it made me stop and think, all right, so from Flow to Flower to Journey, Flow is like on a really small scale, right? Like a microscopic adventure.
Bacteria in your eye.
Yeah. Flower is this like beautiful grassy fields and then eventually cityscapes and stuff like that. But it's way more, it's the idea of being a flower in the fields. Journey, desert, right? And like kind of caves, but mainly desert. Then the big question is, where do they go from there? And I think underwater is the obvious answer. And I think the other obvious answer is space. Sure. So that's why I think No Man's Sky makes sense getting brought up in this conversation. But what's also funny is, because I've thought about this, I'm like, what do I want from that game studio next?
That game company?
That game company. And not to say that these are them, but obviously when you're it's the spiritual.
It's not Genova Chen, but obviously, I mean, like that's what my thing, into quick aside, is like playing this game, and I'm enjoying this game, but it does feel like, okay, it's kind of just, it's Journey Underwater in the sense of, I'm in this area, here's this epic moment to transition me into something else, and here we're back into this thing, and I'm trying to light up these different things to get that to go, and okay, that went, and now another transition. It's not, none of that's bad, none of that's like, oh, how unoriginal. It's just like, I'm not as like blown away by it, because I feel like I know this game already when I just sat down to play it. Yeah, and it's such a weird thing because people will never be happy, right? Of course, it's like you can never be wowed again like that because that was so amazing and such a unique thing. Having said that, we haven't had anything like that since. 100%.
So I think that I love seeing you play this because I'm just like, man, like this. I've for years dreamt about what their next game would be, and I always thought it was going to be underwater or space. Yeah. And it's funny seeing you play this because taking No Man's Sky out of it, you could replace that with space because of the way you control it. Sure. Like seeing the way that you were navigating and stuff, like it made me think of Star Fox, or stuff like that, where it's like you're it's a linear game. You're driving through, it's a kind of like an on rails space sim, but you're underwater.
Right.
And it was cool seeing the hints of Flower where like you're going through fish and the fish all join you and then you speed up each time. But with those epic moments of Journey, and Flower had them too, but it was
not the same way.
Flowers felt a bit more. Once you hit this thing, the camera's gonna zoom out and it spins around and like colors change. But Journey was a bit more of a
millions of pieces of scarves with you.
But also just like the epic moments felt like you were building towards them, and games get a lot of credit these days for being like, oh, it's an interactive movie. And then we talk about the Uncharted's of the world or the Call of Duty single player campaigns or stuff like that when we talk about that. But I think that this game and Journey do it in a way that I haven't seen anything else do in terms of the melding of visual art style, camera movement, and music.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, playing that, there were points where it felt like those Pixar shorts before it, where
Yes.
there's no dialogue. I mean, and that's one thing I guess we haven't done. If you don't know what Abzu is, sorry, underwater, you're third person, totally free to roam around, not open world. It's linear. You get areas you go through. You can go to the floor, the ground floor, hidden spots, and unleash new fish by letting them go. You have to, but then there's some light puzzle solving of like, all right, I gotta get this chain to move and that chain to move, and that'll open the door. It's all super simple. All the like gameplay hooks of it are really optional for the most part. Meditating isn't mandatory, but if you do it on everything, you get the trophy. Unlocking all these fish isn't mandatory, but if you do it, you get the trophy, kind of thing like that. But there was points, playing it where they do such a great job of what you're saying, where the action is so basic. Your action as a player in this game is so basic of swimming. If you want to explore, but as I was like trying to get this for the Gamescast, right? Like I was, not trying to get every fish unlocked, and I don't even know if I would be motivated to go back for the, silver trophy, but I'm going through and I'm doing it, and the music ramps with you.
Yep.
The music builds with you until you're at that crescendo moment, and then when you are shooting down, this waterway with all these fish around you, or going through, or collecting more, and they're swirling around you. That is that epic moment, and that's that payoff.
Yeah, but that is that's the art to me. That is the thing that is
a combination of all of it.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of like bring it. It's not so much the what does it stand for and what is the metaphor of this. The art of it is the melding of that stuff in a very emotional experience that is driven by you controlling it.
Sure.
And it's weird because it's not that far off from the Mario Maker levels that people make that are just you hit right once and then or just hold right and run and it plays through the whole level for you. Or people always talk about certain games like even Journey is like, oh, if you just hold straight, you'll win. And it's like, that is an oversimplification of the entire thing. Like you do have a control over it, and it's a physics-based experience where you're not going to actually finish this game just holding it and just going, right? But it is those moments where you're talking about like the camera kind of messing up or the controls messing up when you do the flip thing. That was the same thing in Flower. Now, Flower was different because you had to move the controller
that's
around.
6th axis. We loved it so much.
But there was you start to feel connected to it in a way that you don't with other games because the way that you're controlling it becomes like a roller coaster in a lot of ways. It becomes but you're controlling where it goes. So seeing you go through the things of fish reminded me of going through the things of flowers where you
getting
go
the pedals and
faster and faster and all that stuff. And there's an art to it. It's like Sonic the Hedgehog. That's probably a really good way to bring this up in terms of everyone's like, oh, you just go fast and hold right and jump. It's like, no, that's not how that works. Maybe the first couple levels, Sonic's actually really more about the physics of it and using ramps and stuff to
increase
get better, play the same level over and over so you can understand how to just and like bounce through it super fast. And I think that there's that same level of like playing Flower reminded me of playing Sonic 2 in the Chemical Plant Zone when you're going through. Do you know what I'm talking about, Chemical Plant Zone?
No. I played it all the way through Sonic 2.
It's the one with the purple water that raises. Okay. It's one of the most iconic Sonic levels.
Yeah.
Being little, I remember playing that and feeling overwhelmed with a sense of speed and sensation of movement, and I'm causing this to do things, even though most of it was get from point A to point B to trigger what's essentially a quick time event. But I think these games make me feel that way. Even watching you play made me feel like there's a sense of momentum.
Yeah.
And when you add the music to that swelling, like that's where the emotion comes from. It's momentum mixed with this auditory visual feedback combination. Yeah. That it's just like, it's cool.
Momentum is a great way to describe it, I think, Abzu, and where I think people keep talking about how relaxing the game is. I think that's true, but it's also in the way of at no point in this game was I up against there was no inside moment, right? Of like, wait, what do I need to do? Or even Journey, because there were times in Journey I remember chirping up to something, trying to, is this what I'm supposed to do? Or is this, it's very obvious what the next thing is. So if it is that you want to go explore, if you want to touch every fish, if you want, because you can grab on and ride them and do this different thing, unlock them all, do these different things, meditate everywhere. If you want to go and collect seashells, if you want to go do all that, you can, and you're fine, and you'll never feel like you've ground the pace of the game to the halt, nor will you ever hit a puzzle so hard that you're like, what the hell do I do next?
Yeah. That's cool. I 100%. think, and that's what, there's a place for that,
100%.
I'm such a big fan of the small experience games, right? And I think that this is a perfect, it seems like, without playing it, just seeing you play it, it seems like that type of experience. I'm excited for it. I hope that I get a chance to play it soon, like just timing wise. How long is it?
2.5.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You know, like that sounds like a really good time because like you don't need more of that.
No, and I mean that's the one thing, you know, I mean, like where I am with it. I liked it. I think you should play it. I don't think it's on Journey's level at all. I don't think it's, you know, changing the game. It's got like a 79 right now, Metacritic 8.3 on IGN. That all sounds, the 7.9 seems like where I would be somewhere in there. It's good. I appreciate it. I like it. I don't think I love it. I don't think I'll ever go back to it. It's funny because like Mitch today on Twitter was talking about like a day removed and I'm still thinking of Abzu, and I'm like, I don't think I'm ever gonna think about this game again outside of this conversation. Not that that's a bad thing. Not that I'm saying the game's bad, just in the fact of like, cool, I'm kind of interested to know what was going on there, but I think I kind of get it in the same breath and just in the end. But like, what was I doing in the end, really? And but whatever. Yeah. See, Inside, I've thought about many times. You know, I continue to have conversations about Inside, and not only the fact that the gameplay is amazing, not only that it was such a step up from Limbo, but of like, what did it really mean? You get in those debates and those conversations with people.
Yeah. No, see, that's interesting, and I guess again, having not played it, I'd be interested to see if anyone ever brings this up in the same conversation with Journey, in the way that I've heard Limbo and Inside compared.
Interesting.
Where people have differing tastes and neither is right or wrong. It's like, I can understand the arguments on both sides. For this, like, Journey is such a masterpiece because it did nail all of these pieces, where it sounds like this one, at least in my opinion, it's not nailing all of those things. Yeah. And that's hard to do, you know?
I mean, like, you brought up this interesting fact, right? Of like, you have hypothesized what that game company's next game is going to be, right? And that, here we go, the guy who worked on Journey left, founded a studio, made this game, and released it before we've ever seen anything from that game. Yeah. And the reason that's happening, and we talked to Genova Chen at not this E3 2015. And we're like, is there a lot of pressure? He's like, there's so much pressure. You know what I mean? To follow up Journey, to do this right, like we've started and stopped a bunch of different projects, and what we're working on now, we're still working on. That's why we're not talking about it.
I mean, I can't even imagine, because I remember when Flower came out, it was a joke with me and my friends in the sense that I was excited about it.
Yo, we gonna play this Flower game.
I saw it and I was like, oh, like this looks weirdly interesting to me. Like I'm into it. And everyone, like Alfredo, I'll never forget. Alfredo was talking so much shit.
Alfredo only shoots things.
He just he couldn't wrap his head around. But again, it was a different time then. Like
flower pistols.
Yeah. This being or Flower being a PSN game back then, PSN wasn't really a thing.
It's pretty good for a PSN game. It's pretty good for a downloadable game.
Exactly. That was the conversation. And I remember playing it. There was the demo, and I played the demo, and I'm like, this is cool. I want more. So I bought it eventually, and then playing through that game, like it resonated with me. I was just like, why do I like this so much? Because there's not much there. But I'm like, I wanted the art from it. You know what I mean? I think that is the key.
That's a big part of it, yeah.
With all of these games.
And that was my thing with Abzu, is that, because like I think the theme of me recently, at least this year, has been being in the mood, right? Like Ratchet and Clank came out and I wasn't in the mood for Ratchet and Clank, and then one day I was, and I put it in and it was awesome. And then Overcooked recently, we were in the mood for a co-op game, we got it. I'm forgetting one that was another one that just clicked. It was like A Song of the Deep. I wanted someone to tell me a story. These people told me a story, and I wasn't in the mood for Abzu, right? And I always, so my reference point for that is that when I put Journey in back in the day, I remember putting it in. I did a couple things, and I texted Clement some joke about it because he loved it so much, and I knew he loved it so much. And then he texted me back, and I texted him, and then like the game kept going, and then I turned off my phone, and I was like, wait, something's happening here. I need to pay. And like with Abzu, that didn't happen. I was still multitasking, doing a million things. And again, not that that's whatever. It's a great game. It's a good game. It's a great game. You should play this game. But it wasn't like I wasn't enraptured. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so I guess that's to me that's the interesting part. Is I remember playing Flower, and it went from the demo to me playing it and being like, I don't know why I like this, but I do, and investing to towards the latter half of that game. Like once things get dark in that game, and like there's the part, I think it's like midway through.
Like it's crumbling cityscape.
No, that's the end. That's the end. Okay. But like once you're in the field and it's dark and there's the electrical towers that are fucking things up, I was like, oh shit, this is not just 6 levels that are all the same thing with different colors. Like, they are trying to tell a story. And I was like, I am invested. And that was the rest of my day. I had to beat that shit. I tried platinuming it before I realized, before I was indoctrinated into this world of Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty. But I never did that. But then when Journey came out, I was so excited just because I was like, man, like their next game, this must be awesome. And it was. Like that's the thing is they took all the things I loved about Flower and just condensed it and made it just more manageable, more less abstract and just more like it's a bit more basic.
For me with Flower, one of the reasons I think I don't like it as much is momentum. And I feel like I lost my momentum a lot in that game. Where I'd be going and everything's going great and I'm nailing it. And then like with 6-axis, I just missed something and then try to circle back and it was hard to get back and I'd get back to it and then try to get back in that rhythm again of where everything was going so well.
Yeah. And with Journey, it was a bit more, I think, by the books in terms of progression, in terms of just like, it was always obvious where you're going and it was one giant journey. In the same way that Flower had the story elements kind of go, like I was saying, where like it gets dark and then eventually it gets even more dark.
Yeah.
With Journey, like I feel like the entire game was telling a story, whereas in Flower, it was just the last half.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And that's my question about this game, where just from seeing this and from hearing you talk, it seems like that is the element that's missing, is a kind of overarching narrative that you're interested in throughout.
100%. Yeah. When I started seeing the cave paintings and stuff, and they're not cave paintings, but you know, the art of the old world or whatever, it was like, oh, okay, cool. I think, is this where, like what's going on? And then you get, by the end of it, and then the end of it, it's just like, okay.
No spoilers, but
yeah, I know, but it's not even that. Like, you know, this is totally a game that's about the journey and not the destination. I feel personally, but it didn't have that hook to it where I cared about what was really going on in the world.
Yeah,
and that's one of the reasons I don't think I cared about like, are these fish trapped? Am I helping them? I don't know what's going on. Why do I want to meditate here?
Yeah,
it's pretty. I'll give you that.
It is pretty. Yeah. All right, cool. I'm definitely stoked for it. Let us know what you think about Abzu in the comments below. I'm excited to hear about that. And I want to see if there's anybody that likes it better than Journey. That would be interesting too.
You're wrong if you do.
Damn, son.
Just letting you know. Delete your Twitter.
All right.